Hey guys, Saf here with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and today we have got the first turn-based tournament. We have the Sand Devil turn attack, and with all these kind of new tournaments that are coming out, what we always have to wait for is the new points table. When it was a soul summoning tournament, when it was a soul chase, we didn't really know how good it was going to be until we saw the rewards, and then we realized the rewards are pretty good, the points are pretty low, but the actual point acquisition was awful. So it was really difficult to get the rewards you needed because you just didn't get the value out of the stones. So again, in this turn-based attack, we knew the concept was the highest stage was as few turns as possible, but what does that actually mean? Does it mean that running 25 on like 80 turns was not as good as running stage 7 on like 6 turns? Is there an energy distribution? All of these little details kind of come into it. Now, when we look at a normal dungeon, it's much easier to work out the average, because essentially with a normal dungeon, you take the rarity of the artifact, you take the tournament points, and then that you just basically take the odds of you getting each of those individual type of artifacts. You can average that, and that gives you roughly how many tournament points you're going to get per different stage, and then you divide it with the energy to get you your energy efficiency rating, right? It's pretty straightforward. But with the turn-based attack, we actually have to go not only the stage, we have to go then the number of turns, and how are they going to base the number of turn points? Then we have to do it based on energy. And unfortunately, the table we've got is the most abstract piece of rubbish that I've ever seen in any sort of explanation. We have no idea how this calculates. I've spent the last 2 hours running lots of different simulations on stage 7, stage 11, stage 25, running in different turns. All I can come up with that it seems to be some sort of equation that basically front loads most of the points. So we'll see when I show you some runs here of what I've got, that actually most of these 80 points are all front loaded. So that what I mean by front loaded, I mean the first 50 turns has most of the points, and then you lose quite a lot, and then after about 100 turns, the next 100 doesn't lose you so much, right? The diminishing return of the penalty is a lot higher. So the longer turn counts aren't going to be as punishing as kind of like losing the first 20 or 30 turns. That's what I seem to understand so far from the testing, is the first 40, 50 turns will have most of the points, which you would kind of expect. But really, what I was hoping to see here is if you do 10 to 20 turns, you get 10 points. If you do 20 to 30 turns, you get 30 points, right? That's what I was hoping for, not this like really abstract, you can get anywhere between 24 to 80. It makes it really hard for us to do any sort of, okay, which stage should I be farming? Because essentially, I don't actually know how we calculate these points. I can only guess based on some of the assumptions, unless I basically run every single turn number to then work out exactly how many tournament points you get for every single one, which we know is very difficult because essentially I don't have teams that can run like within 10 turns at 25. It's very difficult to know this number. So what I would say to player is, I think if you release these type of tournaments, you need to be clearer than this. You need to give us more clarity in terms of how many tournament points we're actually going to get, because a lot of people are going to look at this and go, I'm not interested in knowing how much, you're not going to tell me how much I'm going to need to farm. I don't care, right? People know how much resources they need to commit to an event if they want to go for it. If you're not going to tell us that, then people won't want to do it, in my opinion. Anyway, you can see that I've done a bit of farming here. I'm up to 947. We've got, unfortunately, epic relentless. I'll be honest. If you want us to do a new dungeon on the same time as a fusion, you're asking me to take away resources from a fusion to do a new style tournament on a new dungeon. That's very hard. Give me at least 6-star relentless gear. Come on. Legendary, please. We do get this piddly little bronze chest as well, which probably means we're going to get some forge charms, which is totally pointless. And then an ancient shard on top. There is a tier 2 stone for 20,050 points, which is pretty okay. 6-star tackle, okay. The rest is pretty okay. It's not like it's a mind-blowing tournament. If you don't do it, you're not going to miss out. But I am going to do it because I'm actually double dipping with champion training tournament as well. So what team am I actually running? Well, you've got a couple of options here. You can run stage 7, right? There's a fast stage 7 team. I'll show you my team here. I could do it in 6 turns. This is probably going to be what most people do if you want to do this tournament. You run this team, you just basically hammer it away. Now, stage 7 is no longer the best stage for lesser oil. Stage 25 is. So if you can do 25, it's going to give you the best rewards. But in terms of sort of stage 7, you can see I kill it in 6 turns. That gives me around about 16 points. So stage 7, it costs me 10 energy, it gives me 16 points. That's roughly it. It's a consistent 6 turn as well, unless reho 3%. You can, of course, also run sort of stage 11. 11 is like probably one of the third best options now, because you do get greater oil, you do still get lesser oil, and it's probably quite an efficient stage. You can see here I can kind of get away with using my same team that I run on stage 7. I would probably look to swap out Franox with someone like another Whisper or someone with a bit more damage here. Not really a max HP damage dealer, just someone with more raw damage. But you can see we have to take 2 turns here. We have to take more turns to actually get it done. 13 turns on stage 11. We're at 14 turns. So 14 turns gives me 17 points for 12 energy, right? So you can see it's very variable, very, very variable. If I run my stage 25, I'm basically running this type of team for stage 25. I'm running Ninja and Neri. I've done a video on it. I'll put it in the card around about there so you can go and see it. It's a Ninja and Neri team with 3 food champions. So that's what I meant by I can double dip. I'm doing the champion training tournament at the same time as doing some of the Sand Devil, and I'm getting myself some artifact ascension oil, so it's pretty good. The value you get at 25, if you can do it in a good amount of turns, is you get lesser, you get the best lesser oil rate, you get the best superior oil rate, you get the second best greater oil rate. You're also doing champion training at the same time, so you can basically be quite efficient with all the different actions you're doing if you've got the excess energy. So you can see with this team, the whole point of it is Ninja dies as quickly as possible, so we don't take extra turns, and then Aneri is going to just stay alive. And now, ideally, I want to try and code it a little bit so that Ninja doesn't take extra turns. We could probably get ourselves, like, maybe save ourselves 10 turns. There are variations of this 25 team. You can do it with a 5-turn A3 booked Aneri. You can do it with a 4-turn booked Aneri, like a fully booked Aneri, if you have her at 5-star Miracle Heal. So you need her a 5-star Awakened with Miracle Heal Blessing. Then you can run her a lot slower. You can save yourself a lot of turn count. Or you can run her like I'm running here, which is a 6-turn A3 book cooldown. So basically, we only got 1 book in that A3. And then basically, Ninja just needs to die, right? Ninja's job here is done once he's done his A2. Once he does his A2, we don't need Ninja. So we want him to die to reduce the turn count. So my team here is pretty 100%. The only time it can be really bad is if I lose too much HP on Aneri here. I need to check why sometimes she doesn't do her A2 at this phase here. As long as she does her A2 at this phase, we restore the maximum HP in one bulk and we're good to go. This is where that Miracle Heal setup works, where you don't need to go as many times, because Miracle Heal, when the boss is sleeping, is going to restore a chunk of your missing HP, which is what you normally lose here, is when he destroys your maximum HP. So as long as Aneri stays alive, this team is 100%, and we basically do it in either 94, 103, or 114 turns. It's pretty much dead on every single time, because it's about how many times Ninja needs to A2 to be able to beat the boss. Ninja is weak affinity here, so I have him in Affinity Breaker to try and mitigate the issues of his affinity. So if he weak hits, that's a problem. If you had Ninja with 5-star, you wouldn't lose the Brimstone here. You would get a free Brimstone proc. That could help you do a little bit more damage. So this team can drop in turn count. But this is the team that I am going to be using for this dungeon. I've used it already. You can see I'm already up to 900 points. It's a pretty fast run. It's about 2 minutes. You can see it's probably going to be 94 runs here. We might even have to go to the 103. This is probably going to be the 103. You can see it's all about how many times we need to A2 on Ninja. If it's almost like I've run it so many times today now. It's like 103, 94, or 114 every single time. There we go. See, 103 turns on the dot. And 103 gives me 37. So I've tried to work this out. What I just wanted to show you is some examples that a couple of my community and different people have messaged me. Thanks very much to Viobella, a couple of the mods in Dead with Jedi's Discord, and to the members of my community as well for sending me some screenshots here. I just wanted to look at some variants of different speeds so we can see what I mean by about the fact that it seems to be very front-loaded. Typically on stage 24, we can get anywhere between 67 and 20 points. So 67 is the highest, 20 is the lowest. So we can see here, we've got a stage 24 run, 215 turns, we've got 27 points. But when we look at the same stage, but half the amount of turns, right, basically saving about ourselves 100 turns, we only really lose 3 points there. So the next 100 cost me 3 points, but the previous 100 probably cost me almost 30 points. It's very backloaded. It's very much like the first 100 turns is where you lose all of the points really for the tournament. Now that might be by design that they don't think you can go really fast, but it does mean if you can get an extremely low turn count somehow, you would probably get a lot of advantages. We can see here there's another turn 24, like we got 123. You can see there we've lost a point with just 10. We only lost 3 points with 100 here, but we lost a point with 10 here because we've gone from 112 to 123 and we've gained 1 point. Now we got one here, which is stage 25. This was one of my runs. This is my team here. I did it at 94 turns. You can see this is 38. And we've just run the one in game on the same amount, which was 103 turns, and that was 37. So going from 94 to 103 has cost me a point there. We've got stage 7 run here. This is 10 turns. We've lost a point because at 6 turn count, we got about 16 points. That's the one that I run earlier. So that's another kind of like 4 turns cost us a point, which is kind of crazy. And then we've also got this sort of 214 turns at stage 25 that's got us 33 points. So again, I ran stage 25 at 94 turns, 38. We've only really lost 7 points for adding another 100 turns. So I can't really figure out, without knowing what the equation is and more data, so I'll try and do that. I can't really figure out how it's calculating the points from the range. There's probably some sort of uneven distribution of points where it kind of goes into different breakpoints or does something based on the turn count or some sort of multiplier. But it's all server side, so I wouldn't know. So unless Playroom is going to come out and confirm to us exactly how it's calculated, it's going to have to require us almost having a result which is 10 turns, 20 turns, 30 turns, 40 turns, 50 turns, 60 turns, so we can actually reverse engineer the formula. So that's something I'm going to have to work on sort of during this tournament if I can. So to help you, what I've done is I've tried to figure out the best way of doing this. And what I've done is I've determined that the worst case scenario is you run stage 7 and you run it really fast. Most players should be able to run some sort of stage 7 farm where you can basically boot it in a couple of seconds, right? You should be able to do something of this nature. You can go farm yourself a Muckstalker. You don't have to use Reho Bone Spear. You could use someone like a Taurus paired with someone like a Bellinor, someone like got decreased defense and weaken in one ability. You don't need to run the extra Franox. You can run someone who's got a decreased defense with damage, something of that nature, something like a Herndig. You basically just want someone who can pump sleep into debuffs into double nuke. That's all you need. The team doesn't require Reho. She's just the best for doing it. So you should be able to run somewhere between a 6 and 10 turn cooldown here. If you've got Little Miss Annie, you could probably do it even quicker. You probably don't even need another damage dealer. You run this team. This is what I'm basing the efficiency off, because if you can't do 25, you go down to 7 for this tournament. So what I've done is I've built a calculator to give you an assessment as to whether or not the team that you're running is worth running on that higher difficulty. Now, I will share this calculator in the description below. I'll put it in the pinned comment as well. The way this is going to work is you enter the stage that you're currently running. So for me, I'm running 25, and I'm going to say how many points did you get for your team? On average, how many points are you getting? So I'm getting, on average, 37 points. It will tell you you need 55 runs and 1,108 energy to complete the current tournament, which is 2,050 points, which means you're getting about 1.85 points per energy, which means it's more efficient than stage 7, right? Because if I choose to run stage 7, I'm getting 16 points, then I'm getting 1.6. So I'm getting more points per energy at 25. If we pull in some of those examples and have a look at what they were comparing. So if I run the stage 24 team through here that we had someone share with me and they were getting 31 points, well, it's better for them to run that stage 24 at 31 points than this stage 7. However, if we look at this stage 24 on the 215 one where they were getting 27 points, they probably is break even. They're probably better running stage 7 if they can do a 6 turn. The only difference is if you're running stage 7 and you only can do a 10 turn, which is, I think, 15 points, you walk away with 1.5. So I'm basically saying if you could do stage 7 in terms of 10 turns, and then your other teams are basically earning less point per energy, then you should run stage 7. That's the way this is going to work. If we look at something like a stage 25 on 95 turns, which is 38 points, you can see I'm at 1.9, very much more efficient. You kind of want to run higher stages because you're going to get the better rewards. If we look at stage 25 on 33 points, it's still better than stage 7. So even though it might take you 5 minutes, it's still better tournament points per energy. Now, that might not necessarily translate in terms of time. You might prefer to run the stage 7 because you can do it in 10 seconds and get it done quicker than spend all day doing 25. But just keep in mind, if you drop that, you're losing food farming, you're losing greater potions, and you're losing superior potions. That's what you gain from doing 25. At stage 7, all you're really getting is those lesser potions, although you do need more lessers. So you can use this to basically plug in your team. Like, for example, if you were running stage 25 and you were only getting 30 points, it's still more efficient, right? Whereas if you're deciding to run stage 11 and you're getting something like 18 points, it's borderline. If you're running at 16, then it's probably not worth running at 16 for stage 11. So you can use this as an example. It will also tell you how many turns and how many energy you require. Like, so for example, stage 7, if you can do it in 10 seconds, you're going to get 16 points. You'll need 128 points, 128 runs, right? So that's 128 times 10 seconds. So you're going to need somewhere in the region of like 12,880 seconds. We're doing some basic math here. It's going to basically be around about 21 minutes. Give or take. Whereas if you're running at stage 25 and you're getting on average 37, you're going to need 55 runs. That's on about 2-minute average. So 55 times about 2.5. You're probably going to need somewhere in the region of 137 minutes to about 2 hours. So obviously stage 7 is much quicker, but not as efficient. So it just depends on where you want to put your time, energy, and various different things. So there you go, guys. I'd love to be more efficient and more accurate with you, but the information that we've been given is so vague and abstract until we get more community sort of mining and basically different things. I'm probably going to create a channel in my Discord that we can basically gather some of this information. It's the Discord that we have for the YouTube community that is on our live streams. I'll put that link in the description below as well, so you can join if you want to. You can come in and you can dump all of your runs, so you can give me some more data sampling and more data points. I really need to see what someone's fast Sand Devil 25 team is giving them, so I can see, you know, if you're at like 60 turns rather than 100 turns, how many points are you getting? So I can kind of get some break points, and maybe I can reverse engineer the formula. But at the moment, this is kind of like the best thing I can give for you. So there you go, guys. That is the new Sand Devil tournament. Let me know in the comments below if you are interested in doing this tournament. What I would say is, it's actually nice now that we get something extra for doing Sand Devil, right? Before we would have to do it as a almost like Minotaur, right? It's a distraction. You don't really get anything extra from doing it. By doing this tournament now, at least we get bonus rewards for doing something we would have wanted to do at certain points in time anyway. So we have like kind of like a designated Sand Devil farm window now, like we would normally have like a designated Minotaur window when there is no fusion on. So I'm not against them adding the Sand Devil tournaments. The rewards looks okay. I wouldn't say it's anything particularly crazy, but a tier 2 stone for the upcoming summon rush tomorrow looks pretty good. There is a summon rush happening for shards at the moment, but there's also a soul chase, summon rush, whatever you want to call it, tomorrow. It's basically the summon rush version of the new soul stones. So we will be looking to see whether or not that's an improvement over the chase. Now, my gut instinct tells me that stones are more valuable than what the stones give you. Tier 1 stone is going to give you more points than what you would get out of the tier 1 stone, which is going to make the stone rush hopefully better than the chase. I am probably going to be pulling all of my stones irrespective of how good it is, because I cannot wait any longer to basically get my soulstone summoned. I'm sitting on around about 350 tier 1s. It's getting a bit dire. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and I will catch you in the next video.